so you want to be a locomotive engineer. And on paper, it looks like the ultimate middle-class golden ticket. You step into a cab, you release the air brakes, and you move thousands of tons of steel across the continent. It's the last bastion of true, rugged American industrial work. The romance of the iron rails is a powerful drug. It whispers of freedom, of open vistas, and of being a captain of industry in a world where everything else is stuck behind a desk or trapped in a cubicle. But here is the number that makes people sign the dotted line. The average Class 1 railroad engineer can pull in between $90,000 and $130,000 a year, and you need 0 college degrees to get there. In an economy where a 4-year diploma is often just a high-priced entry fee to a mid-tier administrative career, that headline figure is intoxicating. It is high-octane earning potential for anyone willing to put in the time. You think you're buying a future of stability and middle-class comfort. However, that pay is not a salary. It is a bounty paid to compensate for the absolute destruction of your personal schedule. The railroad does not run on a clock. It runs on demand. You don't have a shift. You are on call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You live your life in 2-hour increments, waiting for a telephone to ring that tells you to report to the yard. You aren't just an employee. You are a ghost in the transportation system, tethered to a digital pager. To climb the ladder, you have to accept the seniority system. This is a game of attrition. When you start, you're at the bottom of the list, which means you get the worst assignments, the least desirable routes, and the most unpredictable hours. While the veterans with 30 years in the game have their weekends off and their routes set, you are the one scrambling to catch a freight run at 3 in the morning on a Tuesday. Seniority is the only currency that matters in the yard. Before you even touch that throttle, you are looking at months of mandatory, grueling training. You aren't just learning to drive. You are learning federal regulations, air brake systems, and the topography of hundreds of miles of track. You spend weeks in classrooms studying rulebooks that are hundreds of pages long. Then you spend hundreds of hours as a student engineer, riding in the jump seat, watching and learning. The washout rate is high. Many quit before they even make their first solo run. Think about the milestones you value: the birthdays, the anniversaries, the holidays, the school plays, the casual Sunday brunches. As an engineer, these things don't exist. You might be 300 kilometers away in a hotel room in a town you've never heard of, waiting for your legal rest period to expire so you can deadhead back home. You don't get paid for the downtime in the hotel, and you certainly aren't home for Thanksgiving. You are always leaving, and you are always arriving. The cab of a locomotive is an island. For 8, 10, or 12 hours, you are sealed inside a metal box, insulated from the world by thick glass and the constant rhythmic roar of a diesel engine. It is extreme isolation. You are in constant communication with dispatchers via radio, but the reality is you are alone with your thoughts, the vibrating floor, and the hypnotic repetition of the sleepers passing underneath you. It is a psychological endurance test that few are prepared to handle. Then there is the reality of the tracks. Every engineer knows the statistics. You are going to encounter a crossing accident. Maybe it is a car that didn't stop in time, or someone walking on the ballast who misjudged the speed of the train. The trauma is visceral. When you see it coming, you trigger the emergency brakes, you sound the horn, and then you wait. The train takes miles to stop. You cannot swerve. You cannot dodge. You just sit there while the physics of steel on steel plays out. You might wonder why anyone stays. The answer is the power of the rail unions. These are among the most historic and organized labor bodies in the world. They dictate the contract, the pay, and the protections that keep the job from becoming entirely unmanageable. They are the reason you have a pension, the reason you have health benefits that actually work, and the reason you have a grievance process when management pushes too hard. The union is the only wall between you and absolute corporate dictate. But the industry is changing. Enter PSR, or Precision Scheduled Railroading. It sounds professional, efficient, and logical, but for the engineer, it is a nightmare. It is a management philosophy that prioritizes cutting staff, lengthening trains to over 3 kilometers, and squeezing every ounce of capacity out of the system. It means fewer crews, more pressure to move faster, and a total disregard for the human element. The goal is to lower the operating ratio, but the cost is paid by the people in the cab. You are a ghost in this system. You exist to make the economy flow while being invisible to the people who benefit from it. You are the reason the groceries are on the shelves and the fuel is at the pump. But to the world, you are just a long, loud delay at a rail crossing. You have traded your autonomy, your health, and your relationships for the paycheck. If you can handle the isolation and the grind, you can build a life. But you must realize, you aren't living the romance of the rails. You are maintaining them.